Welcome back to the Unconnoisseurs of Jazz, everybody. This week, I want to start off the episode with a quote from the Los Angeles Times critic Don Heckman. Don Heckman commended both the album's startling diversity and the imaginative, high-flying freedom that characterizes Wayne Shorter's playing, adding that Alegria offered convincing testimony to Shorter's undiminished creativity. And we here agree. That was directly off of Wikipedia when we're looking at this week's album by Wayne Shorter, Alegria.
Welcome. It's great to see you guys. We're missing one, though.
We are. This week, Dad is out having fun with Mom. They're out enjoying some time with some friends, and we figured we'd jump in and fill in and find an album. You noticed last week when the episode came out, I just cut out the whole what's coming next because I think we were all under the impression that we were rolling into the next album for 2001, but we were not. So we've jumped a little out of time, but this is an album I think that both of us really have appreciated, as well as some musicians on this that we have learned about in the past few months.
Yeah, and I'm sorry Dad is not here to enjoy the album with us, but I'm sure that he's listening to the album and getting as much enjoyment. He's just not here to discuss it with us. So,
and this was a last minute audible. We didn't talk about this until Thursday night, so.
But you and I have had this album in our ears for long enough that we probably could have done it, called the audible this morning, and had enough good stuff to say about the album.
Yes, we could have.
For the whole episode. So, yeah. So, all right. I'll tell you what. Let's if they haven't heard the album, let's start them off with a clip so that they know what to expect. So, and you and I decided that we were going to start with just the very beginning of the album, play the first minute, because Dad's not here, and that's Dad's pick. That's the pick that I'm picking for Dad.
Here you go, Dad. Here's Matt's clip for you. And this is the first song, Sacagawea. I'll go ahead and stop it there. It's an earwig, isn't it?
It's definitely an earwig. This is one of the ones that sticks with me. The melody is so dang beautiful, but then you throw in that dissonance. And it kind of makes you cringe at first, but then the more you listen to it, the more that it grows on you. It's hard to explain because the dissonance is kind of icky at first, but then, man, you listen to it over and over again, and it just grows on you. What do you think?
It really does. I was humming it all week long since we picked this. I'm like, yep, it's stuck in my head. That is the creativity behind it, though. It's simple.
Yes.
It gets in your mind, and it looks like I've just got to notice that I've got slow delay here. So if y'all are picking up on the slow delay, I've noticed it, but my Wi-Fi may be running bad. We've had storms running through all night tonight. So
yuck.
If it happens,
well,
it happens.
And second, that's right. Sacagawea, of course, was composed by Wayne, and it does feature the Footprints Quartet. So you got Danilo Perez on the piano, John Patitucci on bass, and then Brian Blade on the drums. So this song number one starts you right off with the Footprints Quartet, which you pretty much can't go wrong.
We're going to talk a lot about the Footprints Quartet. They've only really got on 3 tracks here, 1, 7, and 10, as a complete grouping. Now, the Footprints Quartet was something that came out just 2 years prior to this, and it was a live album. And it was the assembly of these young men who were coming along with Wayne Shorter. So the Footprints Live was the album where this group first played together, or first recorded together. So to me, it's a big deal. Now we go into the studio to record, and that's what we get from Alegria.
Yes, which is we'll talk a little bit about it in the slideshow coming up, but yeah, I was just Footprints Live is such an amazing album, and the song Footprints itself is an amazing song written by Wayne. You know, done by Wayne, done by Miles, done by you name the giant. They've probably done Footprints, but what an impact Mr. Shorter's had on the world of jazz.
And of course, for us, Danilo Perez, Motherland. We covered that just a few weeks back. Brian Blade, way back, 8 weeks ago now, we did Perceptual, the album. And John Patitucci's been...
Actually, it was 18 weeks ago.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It was 18.
So it's been
18 weeks ago. Yeah.
So Perceptual's still in my head. So then of course you add somebody like Brad Mehldau, who's we're going to talk about a little bit, Terry Lynn Carrington, and then Alex Acuna on percussion. We've seen that name before, and I know that we're going to see Chris Potters in the future. So a lot of big names coming up on this album. But next clip, Matt. Let's get into that next clip.
Okay. All right. For me, it's song number 5, and that's Angola is the name of the track. This one, instead of Danilo Perez on piano, has Brad Mehldau on the piano. It's got Terry Lynn Carrington on the drums, Steve Davis on the trombone, and Jeremy Pelt on the trumpet. So it highlights Wayne for sure, because this section of song is the head and his kind of solo part, but you'll hear Brad in the background just kind of filling in space where needed. He doesn't overpower, and then you'll hear some trombone and trumpet kicks, some really popping kicks from the trumpet and trombone. So Angola, song number 5.
All right, we'll stop it there.
Yeah, I love the clip because, again, just like last week, I listened to the clip with the intent on hearing Brad, thinking that it's a Brad Mehldau song, and listening to it as it's a Brad song instead of a Wayne Shorter song. So you really get to hear him, and I really concentrated on him filling in the spots like the consummate professional he is. I don't know. I just love that clip. I love the song so much. You got Terry Lynn Carrington on the drums. So Brian Blade, steps aside for this track and lets Terry Lynn Carrington, who is no slouch, by the way, in her own right,
I was going to ask, because the name is new to us, did you get a chance to look at her? She's been winning Grammys since 1989.
She's played with Dizzy Gillespie, Stan Getz, Clark Terry, Herbie Hancock, Al Jarreau, the Yellow Jackets. She graduated from Berkeley. So, again, yes, 4 Grammy Awards, including 2013 for Best Jazz Instrumental Album. So she's no slouch. But again, I've never heard her name before, and now I'm hooked, and I can't wait to I can't wait to listen to her more, discuss her more, and learn more about her. And if you guys in the audience have never heard of Terry Lynn Carrington, Google
her out.
Wikipedia, check her out on her wiki page, because if it's new to us, it may be new to you too. So, and again, I love listening to it from a different perspective. When you think, oh, hey, this is a Wayne Shorter album, let's listen to Wayne Shorter. Oh, hey, this song features Brad. Let's listen to this song as if it's a Brad song. And then listen to it again. Oh, this is a Terry Lynn Carrington song. Yeah. Let's listen to just Terry Lynn Carrington and see what she does. And then you add the trombone and the trumpet pops, and it reminds me of the group Chicago, when the horn section they come in when they need to, and then back right off and let the rest of the band shine. I don't know. What do you think? I've been
playing through Summertime and Autumn Leaves, thinking about our vocalist. What notes would I play at the end of A Measure to just highlight her singing? And because we had that concert the other night, which got filmed, and if y'all haven't seen that, please bear with me as I learn to play the trumpet. I am a beginner. As Joe said throughout the night, I'm like an 8th grade level trumpet player. So I've been playing for 3.5 years, and that's about fair. But I think about those stingers, those little captivating moments that happen in that. And that's what led me to the name Jeremy Pelt. We'll talk about him in here in a little bit, but keep that in the back of your noggin, the name Jeremy Pelt on trumpet out there. So it introduced me to a lot of things. And hearing those sounds, like you said, Matt, there was a quote last week that you gave. You can't compare it to anything else. Enjoy it fresh as if it is the only thing that you get to enjoy, which unfortunately left me listening to this album like 1,000,000 times this week just because I was like, oh, shucks, we're covering it this week. And I can't tell you how many times I enjoyed it, but then how many times I jumped off. What did Terry play? Where else did we hear Alex Acuna? What about Robert Sadden, who was the conductor and arranger? What else did he do? Who was Chris Potter? All these things. I'm like, ooh, go look at this. Go listen to that. Go check this out. Which
listen to Footprints live and hear.
Wasn't that a good one to go back to?
The Footprints Quartet doing what they do best. That's
their 2014 concerts that they were doing. Going back and listen to that. I mean, just watching Brian Blade drum, I was just so moved by that. So yeah, I've spent the better part of all weekend just watching and digging. So
yeah. All right, let's talk about your clip. What do you got?
I'm as much as I am to that partial. You'll see that there are 3 songs listed in the the listing here that were actually done years prior. One of those is the piece called Orbits, which was a Wayne Shorter piece that came out on Miles Smiles. There was another song that we've looked at. Capricorn 2 was a revisit of one of Wayne's. And then the third song was actually on his album Soothsayer, but it had come out after that on Miles Davis's Water Babies, and that was Capricorn. Capricorn 2 was a revisit of that, and Angola, which we just listened to, was on Soothsayer. So let me clarify that. Orbits, Capricorn 2, and Angola were the 3 songs. Angola was on the Soothsayer, and then Orbits was on Miles Smiles. So I wanted to listen to Orbits because I want to bring a piece of the history into the present. So I'm going to start Orbits at 3 minutes. We'll listen to 1 minute of that. Here we go. I'll end it right there because I was just going to keep on going. I was looking over the notes. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to sail away.
You totally could just keep it going, too.
Man, oh, man. Now,
so
Orbits, just like your clip.
That,
go ahead. Orbits had Brad
you were going to say exactly
as well. So it was Brian Blade on drums, Brad on the piano, which was just killer to me. And when you start looking at that, you had a bassoon in the track, Frank Morelli. You start looking at who made this up. There was a clarinet in it. There was a bass clarinet in it. There was a flute in it. And you start thinking, wait a minute, what? We have an entire orchestra backing this sound up. And then you've got a quartet of sorts in front. And this is where, going back to the quote that began it all, his diversity and his imaginative, high-flying freedom. Wayne, to me, I'd watched Zero Gravity 6 times, all 3 of those episodes, over and over. And I started, and I'm like, I could quote the whole thing all the way through. And I'm like, but what is it that really got him? And as I looked into the album Water Babies, it says that he pulled the inspiration from the book Water Babies. So I'm going to be reading that book because Wayne was an imaginative dude. So if he took that imagination into the music, that's what we're hearing in 2003. What'd you think about Orbits, Matt?
His creativity and the way that he can rewrite something, it never ceases to amaze me. I listened to the original Angola today and then the version that's on this album. They almost don't sound anything alike.
No.
I listened to your track, Orbits. The original Orbits, and they almost don't sound anything alike. So reimagining the whole piece, basically, it just blows me away. His creativity is what it is.
Which takes me to this. Let's listen to the original off of Miles Smiles. Here's Orbits.
Perfect.
Wayne's solo. Now, the solo is not the head, but this is. It's so weird to me to listen to that song and compare it back to
yes,
this. It's
the last one, the latest one, the one that we're talking about, reminds me of a church service. It's Church Orbit.
Yes.
So it's the jazz you can play in church, where the Miles version is the Saturday night at the club version. Maybe that's a good way to put it.
I like that.
Great clip. I mean, just the creativity. He just blows me away. He never ever ceases to amaze me. Wayne Shorter, never. Just like I've said now for 121 weeks, whatever you do it to jazz. And why do we do that? Because we were stuck in a rut 3 years ago, just with the same music in our ears, and we wanted to get out of our musical rut, and we started this channel listening and talking about jazz music. You'll hear in our week in music coming up in just a little bit. That's pretty much what we do. We listen to jazz music all week long, and I don't ever want to go back. I do not ever want to go back. And there's nothing wrong with those old songs. Do not get me wrong. I know I've slammed them the last couple of weeks, but there's nothing wrong with it. But for me, I needed to expand my palette, and jazz was the way to do it.
And little did you know, Matt, that expanded palette was going to take us to 2000 to 2018, where we're wrestling with, how's this called jazz? But yes, I was going to let you go to the next slide.
Well, the top 100 that we did from Jazz Wise, that was our introduction. That was our elementary years in jazz. We're moved into middle school and maybe even high school coming up into the 2000s and using Nate Chinnon's list. Unfortunately, tonight's album's not on that list, so I won't reference Nate too much tonight. But we've graduated, man. We've listened to enough
Yeah.
music that we're no longer in middle school. I think we're in high school talking about jazz. And you know what? I don't ever want to be the smartest one in the room when I talk about jazz, but I want to be able to carry on a 5-minute conversation about
Yeah.
an artist
yeah.
or about an instrument in jazz or give recommendations. And if I ever get to meet one of them again, man, if I could just spend 5 minutes picking their brain, I'd love
Right.
to. You know what I mean? So, yeah, tonight we're talking about Wayne Shorter, and on the bio clip here on the bio slide, this is just a brief bio. We've covered Wayne on the top 100 before, but we love this album so much, and we called an audible this week to cover Alegria. And again, we've mentioned this before a couple of times this episode, but this is the second album to feature the Footprints Quartet. The quartet includes Brian Blade on the drums, Danilo Perez on the piano, John Patitucci on the bass, and of course Wayne Shorter on the saxophones. So well, that's an all-star lineup in itself.
Yeah.
And then you add Brad, you add Terry Lynn Carrington, you add Steve Davis, Jeremy Pelt, and the others on this album, and you've got a mega all-star cast doing an amazing piece of work. As you mentioned, your clip Orbits is song number 8 that comes from the Miles Smiles album from 1967. And of course, when I was putting the slideshow together and I put that little ditty in, what did I do? I went and listened to Miles Smiles from 1967. So it's just the expansion of the palette is happening again. The whole love of jazz and the rabbit holing has started again this week for me. So yeah, Miles Smiles from 67. The album was very well critically acclaimed. It was the critics really dug this album when it came out, and you can't argue with that, right? Most of the time the critics, I don't know, man, I could argue with them all day long and say, oh, this was much better than what you said it was. But what was it? All Music gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and the Penguin Guide to Jazz gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So not going to complain. Not going to complain one bit about that. Creatively, in my opinion, this is one of his superior albums, in my opinion, because it's so creative. It's like you mentioned, he's got a small orchestra back there that's backing him up on a couple of songs. And not that it hasn't been done before, because Miles plus 19, he did it.
Well, and his arrangements and having the big band and strings behind him, having a cello soloist in one of the tracks. Yes, it's been done, but not with the imagination that he threw this out there as. That's
Right.
what made it so brilliant. Gil Evans had done it for a long time.
Yes.
Bill Evans had put some great arrangements together. You start looking at what Miles did in the years past and all of the great arrangers, but it comes together in 2003, and it's Wayne Shorter's songs, or it's his reimagination. And I can't imagine, it's not free jazz, but the freedom to say, we're going to reimagine these songs. No, we studied your song to begin with. What do you mean reimagine it?
Yeah.
No, it was good. Well, let's not make it good. Let's make it great. Let's try something new.
Well, okay, and that moves perfectly into the quote that I chose this week from Wayne. And this is the quote from Wayne. There's a certain road in life most people walk on because it's familiar and they can jostle to get in front place. I prefer to take a different road that's less crowded, with many forks, where you get a wider view of life. I call it the road less traveled. That's where I want to be. And what you just said fits in perfectly with that quote. He's got such a a wide, diverse look at life that he can reimagine. He could reimagine the wheel and turn it into something better.
Right?
You know? Yeah. I don't know. You know, when I read the quote, I knew that it would fit in our discussion before I even typed it in, and it really has, because he's an inspiration to me, because I sometimes stay on the easy path and just want to get it done or get it over with, instead of, hey, let's see what happens if we take a right hand turn and
right,
and you know, take the easy way. You're always driving the highway to get somewhere. Take a back road, man. Drive through a little town and stop at a diner. But I never do that. But I feel like that's what Wayne would do. Would have done. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to do that little brief bio of Wayne Shorter. If you like the information that we're putting out, you can always come to our website, theunconnoisseur.com. We also have a 24-hour streaming radio channel, WTUR.org, which is our 24-hour streaming channel that you can find on your smartphone or computer. We also have a merchandise store with a link that you can buy Unconnoisseur merchandise. For our podcast, you can go to Amazon, iTunes, and Spotify and listen to us. And if you like what you hear, please follow us on your podcast app so that we know that you're listening. Make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel as well, so we can interact with you, and hit that bell button so that you get notified when our new episodes drop. Perfect. Let's finish talking about Alegria. What do you say?
I agree. Let's do it. There's not much that we hadn't kind of covered already. What we really thought about the album as a complete whole. It's just one of those kind of outer space albums. You hit play and you're going to drift away. There was a time I was sitting here at the desk listening to it, and I forgot what I was doing on the computer. And you go, what was I here for? Oh, yeah, I'm editing video or editing photos, or I was reading an article on something, and now I forgot why I was reading the article. That's the kind of motion. And then if you try to really hone in and listen to the album as a whole, what I experienced is it's just one long song almost. And I think that Dad might say that it just didn't have enough difference. There was so much difference to me because you've added a bassoon, you've added 5 trombones, you've added all of the other musicianships, French horn, 2 French horns, an alto horn, an oboe, an English horn, a flute, a bass clarinet,
and a partridge,
tuba, a cello, a cello solo, and then the cello ensemble. You start hearing all this and you go, wow, what am I listening to? An orchestra with a saxophone in front, or am I listening to a jazz band being supported? And that's where I start, again, you're like, wow, I want the new sound that you were talking about. You can have speakers from front, back, left, right. I want to be in the middle of that circle, hearing the cellos from the right side and the oboe from the left side and the sax in front of me and the piano behind. I just loved it. Yeah, there.
So, all right, let me ask you this. Besides our clips that we played, which Angola, Orbits, and Sacagawea, was there any other standout songs to you on the album? Like standout. Like if I said, hey, I want to go listen to a song.
Well, there's a lot of them. And that's the one thing. I can't pronounce number 4.
Bachianas Brasileiras, number 5.
When you think about a classical piece like that, what a phenomenal tune. If you go to the one that I kept coming back to, She Moves Through the Air, Moves Through the Fair. Moves Through the Fair. Every time I listen to that, I'm like, I just love this particular song. It's not that I didn't want to highlight the clip. I would play the whole song as my clip. That's the only way that I could say it, because you got different centuries. The 12th century carol. You've got this what was Moves Through the Fair, the Dark Ages, or Robin Hood. What am I thinking about?
Yes. Yep. Like the Renaissance Fair.
Like the Renaissance. And then you've got number 4, Bachianas Brasi. Yeah. Bachianas. and it takes you to a different place with that Latin sound. Plus, it's Sacagawea. If I said go listen to a song on the album, Sacagawea would be one. But here I go. The interlude, Angola. I might say go listen to them all. What about you?
Well, and see, song number 3 for me, the Vendiendo Alegria. I absolutely, besides Sacagawea, that was the song that I looked forward to the most, which is song number 3, Vendiendo Alegria.
Yeah.
It's a 7-minute tune, but it really stood out. And again, my clip Angola, I love that song so much because, again, I was listening to it as a Brad song instead of a Wayne song. And that,
right.
I feel like if you're a Wayne Shorter fan, you're going to listen to his stuff anyways, but I urge you to listen to it again and step back and pick a different artist to listen to on the album and just highlight that and listen to the whole album and think, wow, this could be a Brad Mehldau album. This could be a Brian Blade album. And you'll hear it completely different every time.
It could be a Patitucci. It really could have been one of his albums when you listen to the way in which he plays it. It could have very well been.
So I'm ready to rate. I don't know about you. You got anything else to say about it?
I would say this. Translated, Alegria is happiness or joy. And I think there was a lot of that came from this album. I'm ready to rate it. It shouldn't be no surprise.
Nope. You want to say it simultaneously?
3, 2, 1. 10.
10.
I'll put a big banner across. 10. And I kind of had a feeling that when we threw this out there, when you threw it out there, I was like, yeah, I'm going to enjoy this week. I didn't know that I was going to enjoy meeting through the album so many great names, though. Chris Potter, I keep seeing his name on things. So to listen to him play on track 5, the clarinet and the bass clarinet, all I could think about was Courtney Pine on the bass clarinet. And I'm like, you know what? I need to check out Chris Potter more. So we were introduced to a lot of great names because of this album. And, of course, we were reacquainted with Brian Blade and John Patitucci. So...
Okay, so leads me into this segue. So this week I asked you for a What's New album because Dad's missing and he normally picks. So Drew, why don't you tell us what's new?
Well, thank you, Matt. It was really interesting because if you don't know, I did some digging on the other names on this album. And okay, I could very well and should have gone to Chris Potter. But I heard the trumpet stingers in Angola. And I'm thinking, who in the world is playing trumpet on this album? And so there are several trumpet players. Chris Gecker, Lou Soloff, and Jeremy Pelt. Well, on the Wikipedia page, Jeremy Pelt isn't highlighted. So I'm guessing he doesn't have a Wikipedia page. So I went over to Jeremy Pelt's website. And guess what I found? What's new this week? And this album came out February 27th of this year. And when I turned it on, Matt, I got to tell you, I know why Dad gets excited with what's new. Because he turns on the album and he goes, oh my goodness, what is this? Jeremy Pelt is a trumpet player. The album of this week, Our Community Will Not Be Erased. It's got 9 songs. The total is 42 minutes. It's not long at all. And of course, Matt, you've put on the slideshow song number 5 on, or I did, song 5, Angola on Alegria. So Jeremy Pelt's album, it blew me away. It goes back, it harkens back to the roots of what jazz is in our minds. But
he's a post-bop player.
Yes, he is a post-bop player. Studied at Berkeley. He had played with Ravi Coltrane, Roy Hargrove, Greg Osby, which was another name that should start to ring a bell, and Cassandra Wilson. I'm like, come on. He's got about 24 albums of his own, and then he's played with countless people. Mingus Big Band. It was the Roy Hargrove Big Band as well. He's played with a lot of names. So to me, I think what's new, go listen to Jeremy Pelt on the trumpet. Our community will not be erased.
You can find his website at jeremypelt.net.
Yes. And he is an educator as well as a producer and a trumpet player. And you'll see that on his website. But I started to look and I'm like, you know what? First of all, I love the photographs. So Jeremy or whoever's listening to this, I love your photographer. Those photos are just awesome. But he's the type of dude that I look like I want to go hang out with him.
Right.
I really do. And he's got some great music. So sorry.
Right.
I know why it gets exciting when you're picking out a new album. So Dad, kudos to you. Thanks.
Yep. We got your slack this week. But
yes.
You're back again next week. You better bring a what's new that's worthy.
Right. I had another name picked. I would have sent it to Dad and see what he thinks. I bet he would not use it.
All right. Yeah. All right. It was a good pick though. Yeah. I really enjoyed listening to Pelt's album.
Yeah.
Our community will not be erased. So
I'm kind of wondering, Matt, I haven't looked at the 129 list really well. I wonder if we'll see him. So I'm not going to take a moment to look, but if not, I'm glad we highlighted him. If not, maybe we'll come back and review the album on an off week. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, and if you'd like to see our What's New list, that's on our website as well. You can always go check out the albums that we've covered as What's New. Some of them we have come back and done full episodes on. Most of them we have not.
Yep. Well, we've talked, we've rated. What are we doing next week, and what's the week after?
Okay. Next
jump
week
into that?
Yep, we sure are. Next week we are going to finish with 2001 list by covering Matthew Shipp's New Orbit from 2001. It was released January 16th. It's got 10 songs and is 39 minutes. Now, you and I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for you two. I have not previewed much of the album, so I don't know what's in store with Matthew Shipp. That's the way that we chose to do the top 100, is not skip forward. So I've waited this long to start listening to Matthew Shipp. So Dad will be back next week. We will be listening to Matthew Shipp's New Orbit. So I'm looking forward to it because this is brand new for me. I don't know. You've probably dug into it a little more than I have, but I just have not
listened to most of it already. Because last week you thought we were coming to this, and I did too. I can't lie.
Yes.
I forgot that Dad was going to be out, so I went ahead and got a preview of it. But yes, I'm looking forward to actually diving in and biting into this album because I think it's going to bring some great dialogue.
Yes. Now, the week after that, we're going to take a break, not a show break, but we're going to take a break from the list and not start 2002. We're going to do a couple special episodes of some countdown lists, which will be unprecedented for the Unconnoisseur because we've always used someone else's list to talk about. We're going to create our own list. I get the top 10 trumpet players. Drew, you get the top 10 tenor saxophone players, and Dad gets the top 10 drummers. We get to make our own list this time to hear your feedback about our list. You know, I love listening to Roots and Grooves. Don't get me wrong. He's got some banging information on his YouTube channel about jazz. I love listening to his lists. And most of the time I agree with most everything that he's got.
It's fun to agree
list
or disagree with somebody else's list. Are you finding it tough to whittle down your top 10? Because I've whittled down my top 10 to 25. So
I may sneak in one somehow to be yes.
I was
something like that.
Number 10.5, number 10, number 9.5, number 9. Just because I don't want to leave anybody out. I really don't.
That's right. And that's where creating a list gets very, very difficult because as much as my opinion I think matters, you guys are gonna
and of course,
blow
Matt, we
me
are on a
apart.
jazz channel, so it will be jazz trumpeters, jazz tenor sax,
Yes, jazz trumpets. Yes.
drummers.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, yes, and that
So
will.
we
Go ahead.
no. Go ahead, because I was going to segue. Segue. Okay. We haven't talked about it much in the last 20 weeks, but we used to talk about it a lot on the top 100 from Jazzwise, how our weeks influence how we listen to music. So, Drew, why don't you start? You tell me, what's your week in music been like? What's your week been like? Tell me about your week and how the music has influenced your week.
This week with Wayne Shorter has really been nice. I needed something a little bit more chill, a little bit more mild, probably more importantly, something that I was familiar with. This past Friday, we got the news that Uncle John Whalen passed away. That hits me pretty hard. He's teased my entire life that he should have been my dad. And there's still strong feelings in my own mind. I do take after John a lot. More importantly, I take after Rosie. And Rosie was ornery, and so was John. It does hit hard because I didn't get home this past summer, which would have been my chance to see him. So his passing hit me really hard, and the music helped that out. We finished up the senior play a weekend ago, so I've had plenty of time to finish that out. I'm getting ready for graduation. We're doing photos and a video of that. Preparing for Texas Jazz and Blues. We've been busy with Memorial Day weekend and all the activities that go on. So it was a good long week. It was a good weekend. It hit hard to hear of John's passing. And of course you deal with it over the weekend. You think through the process of it and you prepare. Now we're off and running. I'm preparing all the equipment. I've got it all boxed up and ready for graduation photos and ceremonies and other things that are happening. So I'm looking forward to that. It's a busy time. More importantly, my week has been shaped by all kinds of music, just digging into whoever was on this album, whether it was Jeremy Pelt or listening to more Chris Potter, just enjoying it all as I can and thinking about just life in general. I mean, what's important at the end of the day? What really is important? The legacies, and John's legacy will be forever missed. He was ornery. And I've got a lot of stories that I won't share in public with it.
He was ornery on the outside, but in the background,
man. His heart.
If you read his obituary, his heart was in the right place, a place of giving, unconditionally almost giving of his, not only his finances and his money, but of his time and of his attention and of his love.
His attention. You forget about that. How important it is that somebody pays attention when you're there. When you become the only person in the room with that person sitting there. And that really was John every time I got to see him. Jumping off a lawnmower to come and hobble over and give Dad and I a hug when we were riding into Neapolis the other couple of years ago. It was. And he never wanted to know that he gave anything. He was the type to sneak away and pay the bill at a restaurant just because he didn't want to. Nobody needed to know. And everybody knew, but he didn't need anybody to know. Didn't want anybody to know. And I think about his love for the Goldsmith family as well. And the passion not only for them. I got to stop. His passion for all the families that he came in contact with. So, yeah, that'll be missed. And that passion is...
Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
For sure.
Sorry.
Well, no, don't be sorry. Do not be sorry. Not only did we lose John this week, but we lost Sonny Rollins.
Yeah.
Which in our minds is a big deal as well. You know, the jazz fans that we've been of Sonny, we covered Sonny a couple of times on the Jazzwise Top 100.
Although this won't come out for a week. Today is the 26th. So just yesterday, Sonny Rollins passed on. After, again, another great legacy.
Correct. A legacy of music and knowledge and the way that he passed it down and everything else. So, that one hit me hard yesterday. I had a good week. When we called the audible to do Alegria, I was in such a good mood that you accepted it right away. Because we only talked about it for a brief minute that we were going to change the course of this week, and I think you had an album in mind, but then I said Alegria, and you said yes right away. You didn't even hesitate. So that made me feel good that you were on. We were on the same page. We are a lot, but I had the Indy 500 this first year that I've lived in Indiana most of my life. I was only gone for 8 years while I was in the military. Never been to the Indy 500. I remember as a kid going to time trials one time, and it did not impress me. I didn't know what to expect. I was maybe 10, maybe 8 or 9 or 10 years old. What I remember most about that day is it was hot, and we were out in the blazing sun. We couldn't cool off. It was kind of boring because it was time trials, and it was only like one car at a time every 10, 15 minutes or something. And so it wasn't very exciting for me, what I remember. This experience, this is the world's largest one-day sporting event.
Yeah.
359,000 people attended this year's Indy 500. It was a beautiful overcast day in Indiana. 69 degrees, overcast, a slight breeze. So we're not out in the baking sun, slathering on sunscreen, hoping we don't get fried. It's gorgeous. I'm wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt, and I'm very, very comfortable. It does sprinkle a little bit, and they did postpone the race for 10 or 15 minutes. Kendra and I were in the infield. Our seats were amazing, dude. We were in row C, right after the finish line. I mean, very, very close to the finish line. Let's put it that way. Third row up, basically, looking at the track. Now, those aren't great seats, but if in the grand scheme of things, they're really good seats. I wish we were up a little bit higher so we could see the turn 4 and see the turn 1, but the seats that we had, amazing. It's just, I didn't know what to expect, and it blew me away. Let's put it that way. There's hardly any restrictions on what you can carry into the raceway. They let you bring in coolers. They let you bring in food and snacks. They let you bring in beer, which is odd to me that you can just carry in. Concessions, though, are not outlandish. The chicken strip basket that I bought was $12.50. The pork tenderloin basket that Kendra bought was $12.50.
Wow.
They could have charged $25 for those baskets and people would still pay it, but it wasn't outlandish. A large beer was $9.50. So it wasn't even $10 for a large beer. Now, we carried in some of our drinks, so we didn't really have to purchase any beverages, but I'm just saying, the t-shirts were expensive. The t-shirts were $45 to $50 a piece, which I didn't get a t-shirt, but anyways, we had such a good day. It was a great race, sitting that close to the track and watching them come by. The TV doesn't really do it justice about how fast these cars are going when you're sitting there. And I was telling my father-in-law yesterday, I was tracking the lead car, but I could track him from the spot that I could see until the spot that I couldn't see him. But by the time I got my head turned back around, 9 other cars had already gone by. Right. So you follow at 220. And then by the time you get your head back around, 8 or 9 other cars have already gone by your view. So it's really cool how fast and amazing, what an amazing athlete those guys are.
Oh yeah.
We were sitting in a spot where we could see all of the prelude to the race, the national anthem and God Bless America and Back Home Again in Indiana. So we were right there where we could see it all. After the race, they lift the car up into winner's circle, and we got to watch him get his wreath and pour the milk and everything. I mean, we weren't super close to all that stuff, but it was right there in our view. Let's put it that way. We could see it. It's not like we were on the complete other side of the track and had to watch it on the monitors. So it was just really cool. It was a great experience. I had a great time. I had Alegria in my ear that day too. I was listening to Wayne Shorter.
Well, you got to protect your ears when you're on the race course like that.
And you know what? That was the other thing. They were very, very loud, but not as loud as I had remembered from time trials. And maybe I was telling my father-in-law yesterday, maybe it was because of the amount of people that were there was soaking up some of that noise. And the time trials, there wasn't there was hardly anybody in the bleachers. There was a few really drunk people that Dad had to have a few words with that day, but I just remember that day it was just extremely loud. But then race day, it was still very, very loud, but it wasn't anything like what I remember.
Okay.
But we did wear ear protection all day. So it's a great day. It's a great week with Alegria and Wayne Shorter in my ear. Miles Smiles album again this afternoon. I don't know. I'm kind of getting in that mood where it's time to do another retrospect of a whole artist's work, and Miles is going to be the next one that I pick. So maybe starting in July, I'm going to listen to everything by Miles
by December,
by the end of the year. Yeah.
Wow.
Everything. Okay. I want to do everything.
Okay.
Everything. So whether it's the live albums or the studio albums or side work,
you may want to get started this week.
So last year I did Coltrane. I did everything, all the studio albums by Coltrane, and I really, really dug that. And I, it's ready. I'm ready for somebody else. Okay. So if we're going to talk about the greats, you got to know there to go there.
Got to know.
Got to go there to go there to know there.
Go there to know there. All right.
So that's my week. It was a great week. We celebrated Memorial Day with a picnic yesterday.
And thank you, by the way, for your service. I did not even text you.
Yeah, but you know what? Memorial Day isn't about. It's not about veterans. It's about remembering those who gave their life in order for our freedom, and that's what it really is about. So, for all of the families who are missing someone in their life due to sacrifice for our country, I salute you for sure. I will say at the race, I'm ultra critical, but at the race they had a bugle player playing taps. Not because anything happened. It's just tradition at the race for Memorial Day. He did a very fine job until the last 6 notes, and he cracked a note. And I just, my lips just kind of fell to the ground, and I was thinking, oh man, I know how he feels. I know that the big moment you gotta be spot on, and he cracked the note. So I felt terrible for him, and I'm sure I'm the only one that noticed because I did it 750 times in my career. But I don't know. I felt bad for him, but anyways. Wow. So that's the week. Yeah. So hey. Good. Make sure you put Matthew Shipp in your ears for next week. The album is called Matthew Shipp's New Orbit. Again, it was released in 2001. It's got 10 songs and 39 minutes long. So it's not an uber long album that you're gonna weigh you down all week. You should be able to get through it fairly easily.
Fairly quick. Well, good.
Other than that, thanks for sticking around with us for so long. We hope that you enjoyed our episode. If you did, please hit that like button. Leave us a comment. If we got something wrong on this episode, man, let us know.
Let us know. That's what we're here for.
Let us. Sure. Yeah. If we did something right, you can tell me we did something right. If we did something wrong, tell the producer. You'll get your money back.
Absolutely. You're funny. All right, Matt. Until next week, we'll see you.
Peace out, bro.